When you wake up in the morning, before your feet touch the floor, before your phone lights up your face, before the world starts demanding things from you, pause for a moment. That moment is powerful. That moment decides the tone of your entire day. And in that moment, the simplest yet most life-changing habit you can practice is gratitude. You see, most people wake up and immediately think about what is missing. I didn't sleep well. I have so much work. My life is stressful. And the mind, like a loyal servant, says, "All right, let me find more reasons to feel stressed." By breakfast time, the heart already feels heavy. Not because life is cruel, but because the mind was trained to look at scarcity instead of abundance. Gratitude is not about pretending that problems don't exist. Problems will exist. Challenges will exist. Responsibilities will exist. Gratitude is about deciding where your attention will go first, because what you focus on first thing in the morning quietly follows you throughout the day. When you start your day with gratitude, something very subtle but very powerful happens. Your breathing slows down, your shoulders relax, your mind stops running and starts settling. You may not notice it immediately, but your inner dialogue changes. Instead of, "I have to survive today," it becomes, "I am capable of handling today." Think about it. If you wake up and say, "Thank you for this new day," you are already winning. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are alive, aware, and present. There are millions who went to sleep last night and never opened their eyes again. We forget that waking up itself is a gift because we have made it routine. But routine should never become invisible. Gratitude grounds you in reality. It reminds you that before you chase more, you must value what already exists. Your breath, your body, your ability to think, your chance to try again. You may not have everything you want, but you have enough to take one more step forward. And that awareness creates inner strength. Many people say, "I'll be grateful when my life improves." That is a misunderstanding. Life improves when you become grateful. Gratitude is not the result of success, it is the foundation of success. A grateful mind is a focused mind. A focused mind makes better decisions. Better decisions create a better life. When you wake up complaining, your mind stays in fight mode all day. Small problems feel big. Delays feel personal. People feel irritating. But when you wake up grateful, even difficulties feel manageable. You don't panic easily. You don't react immediately. You respond with calmness. Gratitude gives you emotional balance. And gratitude does not have to be complicated. You don't need long prayers or perfect words. Even a simple sentence is enough. Thank you for another day. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my strength. Say it slowly. Mean it. Let it sink in. That sincerity is what matters. You may say, "But my life is difficult right now." Yes. And that is exactly why gratitude is needed. Gratitude is not denying pain. It is refusing to let pain define you. When life is hard, gratitude becomes an anchor. It reminds you that even in storms, there is something steady inside you. Gratitude also humbles us. It reminds us that we are not alone, that many things in our life came through support, grace, and timing, not just our own effort. And when ego reduces, peace increases. A grateful person is less angry, less jealous, less anxious. Not because they are weak, but because they are content. If you practice gratitude every morning, Slowly your mindset shifts. You stop waking up as a victim of circumstances and start waking up as a participant in life. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn today?" That shift changes everything. And here is the most beautiful part: gratitude is free. It doesn't require money, connections, or perfect conditions. It only requires awareness. Anyone can practice it, anywhere, anytime, especially in the morning, when the mind is most impressionable. So tomorrow morning, before you rush, before you scroll, before you worry, pause. Take one deep breath. Acknowledge something good, something simple, something real. Let gratitude be the first thought you feed your mind. Because when gratitude becomes your habit, peace becomes your personality, and strength becomes your nature. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing most people reach for is not water, not fresh air, not even a prayer or a thought. It is the phone. Before the eyes are fully open, the screen is already on. Messages, notifications, news, social media, other people's lives, other people's problems. And without realizing it, the mind, which was calm just seconds ago, is suddenly crowded. The morning is the most sensitive time for the mind. Whatever you feed it first becomes the background music of your entire day. When you touch your phone first thing in the morning, you are allowing the world to enter your mind before you have even entered yourself. You are handing over control of your emotions, your focus, and your energy to external noise. Think about it carefully. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, you are not choosing your thoughts. Your thoughts are being chosen for you. A message can trigger anxiety. A news headline can create fear. A social media post can spark comparison. And all of this happens before you even sit up on your bed. The mind is like clean water in the morning, still, clear, undisturbed. The phone is like throwing stones into that water. Once disturbed, the ripples take time to settle. Even if you close the app, the thoughts remain. That is why many people feel restless without knowing why. It is not because life is overwhelming. It is because the mind never got a chance to wake up peacefully. When you delay touching your phone, even by 20 or 30 minutes, you are telling your mind, "You matter first." You are creating a small but powerful boundary between your inner world and the outer world. That boundary protects your focus. It gives you space to breathe, to think, to feel. The problem is not the phone itself. The problem is timing. Technology is a tool, but when it becomes the first voice you hear in the morning, it becomes a master. And whatever becomes your master begins to shape your mood, your self-worth, and your priorities. Many people say, "I just check quickly." But the mind does not understand quickly. The mind understands impact. Even a few seconds of negative content can set a negative tone. Even a small comparison can steal your confidence. Even one stressful message can sit in your chest for hours. When you don't touch your phone first, something beautiful happens. You start noticing yourself. You become aware of your breath, your body, your thoughts. You remember your goals. You remember what truly matters to you. You wake up as a human being, not as a responder to notifications. This practice also strengthens discipline. When you resist the urge to check your phone, you are training your mind to pause instead of react. And a mind that can pause is a powerful mind. That pause gives you choice. Choice gives you freedom. There is also a deeper reason to avoid the phone in the morning. The content you consume shapes your identity. If the first thing you consume is chaos, drama, and comparison, your mind starts believing that this is normal. But if the first thing you consume is silence, clarity, or a positive intention, your mind starts aligning with stability. You may notice that on days when you avoid your phone in the morning, you feel less rushed, your thoughts feel clearer, your reactions are softer. That is not coincidence. That is mental hygiene. Just like brushing your teeth cleans your mouth, protecting your morning cleans your mind. This does not mean you have to wake up and meditate for an hour or follow a strict routine. Even sitting quietly for 2 minutes makes a difference. Even looking outside the window, even stretching your body. These simple acts remind your nervous system that you are safe, present, and in control. The world will always demand your attention. Messages will keep coming. News will keep updating. Social media will keep scrolling. But your peace is limited. Once it is disturbed, it takes effort to rebuild. That is why the morning is sacred. It is the only time when the world is quiet and your mind is open. When you touch your phone later, after grounding yourself, you will notice a difference. The same messages will feel less heavy. The same information will feel more manageable. Because now, you are centered. You are not fragile. Remember, the first relationship of your day should be with yourself, not with a screen, not with other people's expectations. When you honor that relationship, you show self-respect. And self-respect builds self-control. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm stops and your hand moves towards your phone, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to start my day reacting, or do I want to start my day leading? That one choice may look small, but repeated daily, it builds a strong, calm, and focused mind. Most people believe they feel tired because they work too much. They say, I am exhausted, I don't have energy, life is draining me. But if you look deeper, you will realize something very important. It is not the work that is tiring them, it is the thinking. The body can handle pressure, the mind creates the heaviness. You can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up tired. You can take a day off and still feel restless. That tiredness does not come from physical effort, it comes from mental noise. Thoughts that repeat, worries that loop, fears that imagine worst case scenarios. This is what truly drains energy. Your thoughts are not just ideas floating in your head. They are signals to your nervous system. Every thought sends a message to your body. When you think anxious thoughts, the body prepares for danger. When you think negative thoughts, the body tightens. Muscles tense, breathing becomes shallow, the heart works harder. Over time, this constant internal stress makes you feel tired without doing much. That is why two people can do the same work, live in similar situations, and yet feel completely different. One feels energetic, the other feels drained. The difference is not in their schedule, the difference is in their mindset. When your thoughts are heavy, everything feels heavy. Small tasks feel exhausting. Conversations feel irritating. Even rest does not refresh you because the mind does not rest. You may lie down, but inside, the thinking continues. The mind keeps replaying past mistakes or worrying about the future, and the body, unable to separate real danger from imagined danger, stays in alert mode. Energy is not just physical fuel, It is emotional and mental fuel. When your thoughts are hopeful, encouraging, and calm, your energy naturally rises. You feel lighter, you feel more capable. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because your inner resistance reduced. Negative thinking does not just affect mood, it affects motivation. When the mind keeps saying, "This is too hard, I am not good enough," what is the point? The body listens. It slows down. It resists action. It conserves energy because it believes effort is useless. And then we say, "I am lazy," when in reality, the mind has been discouraging the body. Your inner dialogue is extremely powerful. The way you speak to yourself throughout the day shapes how much energy you feel. If you constantly criticize yourself, your energy leaks away. If you constantly doubt yourself, your confidence drops. But if you speak to yourself with patience and encouragement, your energy stabilizes. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing supportive thoughts instead of destructive ones. There is a difference between saying, "This is difficult," and saying, "I cannot handle this." One acknowledges reality, the other weakens you. Think of the mind as a lens. If the lens is dirty, everything looks dull. If the lens is clear, even ordinary things look bright. Your thoughts are that lens. When you clean them, your perception changes. And when perception changes, energy follows. Many people are not tired of doing, they are tired of overthinking. They replay conversations in their head. They imagine future problems that may never happen. They carry emotional weight from the past into the present. All of this consumes energy, not because it is productive, but because it is repetitive. Learning to manage your thoughts is not about control, it is about awareness. The moment you notice a draining thought, you create distance from it. Instead of believing every thought, you observe it. And that observation itself reduces its power. Positive thinking is often misunderstood. It is not about forcing happiness. It is about choosing thoughts that help you move forward. Even a simple thought like, "I will take this one step at a time," can calm the nervous system. Even a thought like, "I have survived difficult days before," can restore strength. When your thoughts become calmer, your breathing becomes deeper. When your breathing becomes deeper, your body relaxes. And when the body relaxes, energy returns. This is why a peaceful mind feels energetic even without rest. The greatest shift happens when you stop fighting your thoughts and start guiding them. You realize that thoughts are not commands, they are suggestions. You don't have to follow every negative thought. You can question it, you can replace it, you can let it pass. Over time, as you practice healthier thinking, you will notice something beautiful. You still work hard, you still face challenges, but you don't feel constantly drained. Your energy becomes steady instead of fluctuating. You recover faster from stress. You feel more present in your life. So, if you feel tired, don't immediately blame your schedule. Look at your thoughts. Ask yourself, what kind of conversation am I having with my mind? Because when your thoughts become lighter, your energy rises. And when your energy rises, life becomes more manageable, more balanced, and more peaceful. One of the quietest yet most painful habits of the human mind is comparison. We rarely notice when it begins, but once it does, it slowly steals our peace. You may be doing well in life, making progress, learning, growing. And then you look at someone else. Their success looks bigger, faster, better. In that moment, joy disappears and self-doubt enters, not because you are failing, but because you started measuring your journey using someone else's timeline. Comparison creates the illusion that life is a race, that everyone started at the same point, with the same resources, the same support, the same struggles. But life does not work that way. Each person is born into different circumstances, faces different challenges, and carries different responsibilities. When you compare outcomes without comparing starting points, the conclusion will always be unfair. The mind forgets something very important when it compares. Growth is not visible from the outside. You only see the highlight, not the effort. You see the achievement, not the sacrifices. You see the result, not the years of confusion, failure, and patience behind it. And yet, you judge yourself based on the full weight of your reality, while judging others based on a small window of their success. Comparison is dangerous because it shifts your focus away from your own progress. Instead of asking, am I better than I was yesterday? You start asking, why am I not like them? And that question weakens motivation. It creates pressure instead of purpose. It turns inspiration into insecurity. The truth is, everyone has a different pace. Some people bloom early, some bloom later, some grow quietly without applause, some take longer because they are building deeper roots. Just because someone is ahead of you does not mean you are behind. It simply means you are on a different path. When you constantly compare, you start doubting your worth. You forget your strengths. You ignore how far you have come. You begin to feel that your efforts are not enough, even when they are. And slowly, comparison becomes a habit, not an exception. Social media has made this habit stronger. We scroll through carefully curated lives and mistake them for reality. We compare our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel, and the mind, unable to see the full picture, assumes deficiency within us. But life is not about reaching milestones at the same time. It is about learning what you need to learn when you need to learn it. Some lessons require time. Some transformations cannot be rushed. If you force growth before you are ready, you may reach somewhere quickly, but remain unprepared. There is also a hidden arrogance in comparison. It assumes that we know what a successful life should look like. It assumes that the same goals, achievements, and timelines should apply to everyone. But fulfillment is personal. What brings peace to one person may bring pressure to another. When you stop comparing, you create space to listen to your own needs. You begin to understand what truly matters to you, not what impresses others. Your goals become clearer. Your journey becomes lighter. You move with intention instead of anxiety. Comparison also blinds us to gratitude. When your eyes are always on someone else's plate, you forget the nourishment on your own. You overlook your blessings. You underestimate your growth. And contentment becomes difficult no matter how much you achieve. The moment you catch yourself comparing, gently remind yourself, I am exactly where I need to be right now, not as an excuse to stop growing, but as an acceptance of your present. Growth comes from acceptance, not self-criticism. Learning to stop comparison does not happen overnight. It is a practice. Each time you feel that familiar heaviness in your chest after comparing, pause, breathe, bring your attention back to your own path. Ask yourself what small step you can take today instead of what someone else has already achieved. Life is not asking you to be better than anyone else. It is asking you to be more aligned with yourself. When you honor your pace, you reduce stress. When you respect your journey, you build confidence. And when you stop rushing your growth, you start enjoying the process. Remember, flowers do not compete with each other. They bloom when they are ready. And in the same way, your life will unfold at the right time. Trust your timing. Stay focused on your path. Because the moment you stop comparing, you start living. When people hear the word strength, they often think of the body, muscles, stamina, physical power. They imagine effort in a gym, sweat, repetition. But very few people realize that the most important muscle you will ever train is invisible. It is your mind. And just like the body, the mind does not become strong by accident. It becomes strong through consistent training. The mind is always learning, always adapting. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are training it every single day. The question is not if you are training your mind, but how. Every thought you repeat, every belief you reinforce, every story you tell yourself becomes a mental habit. And habits, over time, become character. If you repeatedly think thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation, your mind becomes conditioned to see threats everywhere. It becomes cautious, defensive, and tired. But if you repeatedly think thoughts of courage, patience, and possibility, your mind becomes resilient. It learns to stay calm under pressure. It learns to recover quickly from setbacks. Think about how physical strength is built. You don't lift a weight once and become strong. You lift it again and again. Some days it feels heavy. Some days progress is slow. But over time, your muscles adapt. The same principle applies to the mind. One positive thought will not change your life, but repeated positive thinking will. Training the mind requires intentional repetition. It means consciously choosing what you feed your thoughts. The mind consumes information just like the body consumes food. If you constantly feed it negativity, complaints, criticism, fear, it becomes weak. If you feed it encouragement, learning, and reflection, it becomes strong. Many people say, I can't stop negative thoughts. And that's true. You can't stop thoughts from appearing, but you can decide which thoughts you strengthen. Just like in a gym, you don't train every muscle at once. You focus on specific movements. In the same way, you choose specific mental movements, gratitude, patience, self-belief, and practice them. Every time you replace a negative thought with a constructive one, you complete one mental repetition. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you strengthen emotional control. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you build discipline. These are not dramatic moments, but they compound over time. The challenge is that mental training does not give immediate visible results. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly feel invincible. The progress is subtle. But one day, you notice that what used to trigger you no longer does. What used to overwhelm you now feels manageable. That is strength. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need extreme motivation every day. You need small, daily commitment. Reading something meaningful, reflecting on your actions, speaking kindly to yourself. These are simple practices, but they shape the way your mind responds to life. A trained mind does not mean a mind without problems. It means a mind that does not collapse under problems. It means you can face uncertainty without panic. It means you can fail without losing self-respect. It means you can wait without frustration. One of the biggest benefits of mental training is emotional stability. When the mind is weak, emotions control you. When the mind is strong, you can experience emotions without being ruled by them. You can feel anger without becoming destructive. You can feel sadness without losing hope. Just like physical muscles, the mind grows when it is challenged. Avoiding difficulty keeps it weak. Facing discomfort with awareness makes it stronger. Each time you stay present in a difficult moment, instead of escaping it, you train resilience. Self-talk plays a major role in this process. The way you speak to yourself during challenges either builds you or breaks you. A trained mind speaks with firmness and compassion. It says, "This is hard, but I can handle it." Not blind optimism, but grounded confidence. Over time, this training changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who reacts and start seeing yourself as someone who responds. You trust yourself more. You rely less on external validation. You become internally stable. Mental strength is not loud. It does not show off. It is quiet, steady, and reliable. It shows up when things don't go your way. It keeps you grounded when life is uncertain. And it reminds you that no matter what happens outside, you have control over what happens within. Train your mind daily. Not aggressively, but patiently. Because a strong mind does not make life perfect. It makes you capable. A lot of suffering in life does not come from what is happening to us, but from what we are trying to control. We invest enormous energy fighting reality, worrying about outcomes, replaying situations, wishing people were different, wishing the past had changed, and in that struggle, peace slips away. The moment you learn to control what is within your reach and accept what is not, life begins to feel lighter. Control is a powerful tool, but only when used wisely. You have control over your effort, your attitude, your choices, and your response. You do not have control over other people's behavior, unexpected events, timing, or outcomes. Confusion begins when we mix these two categories. We try to control what is uncontrollable and neglect what is controllable. Think about how much time is wasted worrying about things that may never happen. The mind imagines future problems and reacts as if they are real. The body feels stress, even though the danger is imaginary. This constant anticipation drains energy. Acceptance, on the other hand, calms the nervous system. It does not mean giving up. It means stopping unnecessary resistance. Acceptance is often misunderstood as weakness. People think accepting something means agreeing with it or liking it. That is not true. Acceptance simply means acknowledging reality as it is without denial or fight. When you accept reality, you stop wasting energy on frustration and start using energy for solutions. There is peace in clarity. When you clearly know what you can change and what you cannot, decision making becomes easier. You stop blaming yourself for things outside your control. You stop carrying guilt that does not belong to you. And you stop exhausting yourself emotionally. When you focus on what you can control, your actions become purposeful. You show up fully, you give your best effort, you learn, you improve, and then you let go of the outcome. This balance between effort and surrender is the foundation of inner peace. Many people live in constant tension because they want certainty in an uncertain world. They want guarantees. But life does not offer guarantees, it offers experiences. When you accept uncertainty, you stop fighting the natural flow of life. You become flexible instead of rigid. Acceptance also improves relationships. When you stop trying to change people, resentment reduces. You communicate more clearly. You set boundaries instead of expectations. You allow others to be who they are while choosing how much access they have to you. That maturity brings emotional freedom. Letting go is not a single decision, it is a daily practice. Some days are easier, some days resistance returns. That is human. But each time you remind yourself, this is not in my control, you release a bit of tension. Over time, your mind learns to relax. Control what you say, control how you act, control how you respond. These are powerful areas. When you master them, external chaos loses its grip on you. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. Acceptance also deepens resilience. When you accept setbacks as part of the journey, you recover faster. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? That shift moves you from victimhood to responsibility. Peace is not found by fixing everything. Peace is found by understanding what deserves your energy. When you stop spending emotional energy on things you cannot change, you suddenly have more strength for things that matter. This practice takes humility. It requires admitting that you are not in control of everything, but that humility is freeing. It releases you from the burden of perfection. It allows you to breathe. In the end, life becomes simpler. You act where action is needed. You accept where acceptance is needed. And in that balance, peace naturally arises, not because life is perfect, but because your relationship with life has changed. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Most people react to it with fear, shame, or avoidance, as if it is a punishment or a reflection of their worth. But in truth, failure is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It is life's way of giving feedback, offering lessons that no success or comfort ever could. The problem is that we rarely recognize its messages. We see only the pain, embarrassment, or disappointment, and we close the door on growth. When a failure occurs, the natural human reaction is to ask, why me? Or what went wrong? We immediately judge ourselves harshly, and while reflection is important, the first step is to shift perspective. Failure is not a reflection of incompetence. It is evidence that you tried, that you ventured beyond comfort, that you took action. Inaction guarantees failure in the long run, but action, even imperfect action, provides the opportunity to learn. Every failure carries hidden information. It shows what strategies do not work, what assumptions were flawed, or where preparation was insufficient. Without failure, we might continue repeating the same mistakes, unaware of the adjustments needed. Think about great inventors, scientists, or leaders. They all reached success after countless failures, not because they avoided mistakes, but because they interpreted mistakes as lessons rather than disasters. Society often teaches us to fear failure, to hide it, to feel ashamed. Schools, workplaces, and even families sometimes measure worth by accomplishments rather than effort or learning. That culture creates a deep, seated fear in the mind, the fear of judgment. Fear clouds thinking, freezes action, and prevents growth. The moment you embrace failure as a teacher, this fear loses its power. failure also cultivates resilience. When you fail, you are forced to confront disappointment, frustration, and sometimes humiliation. These emotions are uncomfortable, but they are training grounds for inner strength. Each time you pick yourself up after a setback, you are building endurance. You are proving to yourself that challenges do not define you, your response does. Another gift of failure is humility. Success can inflate the ego and create a false sense of invincibility. Failure, on the other hand, reminds us that we are human, fallible, and always in the process of learning. This humility is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows you to listen, adapt, and collaborate with others rather than insisting on being right. Failure also refines focus. When you encounter a setback, you are often forced to reassess priorities, strategies, and goals. Sometimes what you thought was important turns out to be a distraction. Other times, it reveals hidden strengths or paths you never considered. Failure can redirect your energy toward more meaningful, aligned, and effective actions. Many people see failure as the end of the road, but in reality, it is only a chapter. The greatest successes often arise from repeated failures. Each failure is like a step on a staircase. You climb higher with every misstep, as long as you learn and keep moving. Those who achieve extraordinary results are not exempt from failure. They have simply learned to interpret it constructively. It is also important to separate failure from identity. Failing at a task does not mean you are a failure. Losing an opportunity does not mean you are unlucky or incapable. It simply means you attempted something meaningful enough to challenge you. When we internalize failure as a reflection of self-worth, we limit our potential. When we see it as information, we expand it. Embracing failure requires courage. It requires stepping into the unknown without guarantee of outcome, and it requires facing discomfort without avoidance. The more we accept failure as part of growth, the less intimidating it becomes. In fact, we begin to see failure as an ally, a guide pointing toward refinement and mastery. Reflection is key in this process. After a failure, it is valuable to ask not, "Why did I fail?" in a self-condemning way, but "What can I learn? What can I adjust? How can I use this experience to grow?" This mindset shifts energy from regret to curiosity, from blame to empowerment. Ultimately, failure is a signal of engagement with life. It shows that you are willing to try risk and expand your boundaries. Those who never fail are often those who have never stretched far enough. True growth, true learning, and true success are inseparable from failure, because without challenge, we remain static. When you reframe failure as a teacher, the fear diminishes, resilience grows, humility develops, and wisdom accumulates. You no longer avoid risk because of fear. You approach life with courage and openness. You start valuing the lessons embedded in every setback. And slowly, you realize that failure is not punishment. It is preparation. It is not the end of the journey, but a crucial step toward becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined.